Alright, welcome back to Nature Yourself. I'm Ross Ruffing, here with my daughter Josephine, and we're just out for a nice little hike in the Virginia woodlands. Today we're kind of keeping our eye out because the foraging season is beginning, and today is really the first day of soil temperature being well enough with enough moisture content to produce some of the things we'll be looking for. But we'll get into that in some later talks. Today we can talk real quick about one thing that is a good thing to look out for in the woods, but this time of year it's everywhere. You literally can't not find it, and it's just this onion grass stuff. You see it growing everywhere, and if you get down in there, if you dig one out, they're actually these tiny little onions. But the best way to use them, if you want to cook with them or eat them, is to use them like chives. They're really great alternative to buying onions or chives in the grocery store. It gives that nice onion flavor, a little zing, and a little bitter, but really good natural thing that you can do. So easy. You'll start to notice it around. Oftentimes when people are like, oh, that smells so good, I love the smell of fresh grass, really what they're smelling is those wild onion, chive, garlicky things that are all sliced up in that first mowing of spring grass. Anyway, that's it doesn't really totally relate to what I want to talk about today, but it does in a sense that I want to expand on the topic I talked about yesterday. If some of you watched my other video, I went out climbing, and I wanted to respond to a good friend of mine that suggested I talk a little bit about success, and how success can definitely mean different things to many different people, and it should, in a sense, that everybody's their own person, and everybody has their own goals, priorities, motivations. So how you define success is obviously going to be much different than every other person that you meet. It's important to keep that in mind. But I want to expand on that issue, or that discussion, and relating it to nature. Nature defines success in its own way, for sure. And you look around us here in these woods, everything is pretty successful, but everything in its own place and everything in its own way. Yes, there's many different species of plants and animals that function very similarly or depend on one another, but they all have their own way that they're succeeding in the place that they're in. So, those onion grass, that's every year, it's like it multiplies by the billions in everywhere you go. I mean, it's scattered everywhere. And then towards the end of the year, it starts to disappear a little bit. And that's its success. That's the way it succeeds. It succeeds early in the season, before there's a lot of other plants that shade it out. And you still find it later in the season, but it's definitely an early spring thing that it's kind of like the first sign of really warm weather, the soil temperature rising, starting to find other things. So, with that in mind, everybody's going to define success a little bit differently. And the way I want to talk about it is try not to think about it as a certain thing you have to get to, or a certain thing you have to meet. I think the important thing to keep in mind is to bring value to what you do. Bring value to the people around you. If you're bringing a value, if you're adding value to the world, to the people that are in your life, and to your business community, or whoever you're serving in your work life, then you definitely will see rewards from that. So, how do you bring value to what you do? Well, through this project, I'm trying to bring value to a community of people who I think respect my opinion, and I'm learning as I go. And definitely, I think I mentioned this before, I started this project in a bit of a selfish way, that I wanted to commit myself to something. I wanted to do something every day to help myself improve. And I hope that that's helping other people, and I believe it is from the feedback I've gotten. And that's the way I'm bringing value to a community. And ultimately, someday, maybe I'll get paid to do something like this. At the current moment, I'm just building it and seeing what happens. And sometimes that's what you have to do. But always add value. Add value to the things that you do, and every situation you're in, no matter who you're with, bring value to that situation, and you will be surprised at the type of success that you find and the type of rewards that come to you. Success isn't really measured, is a really difficult thing to measure, rather. Whereas value is rather easy. Oftentimes people can place monetary values, they can place social values, and what you bring to a situation can definitely be seen. And so that's what I would challenge you to do. Instead of try to think of where your success is, like what goals you must meet in order to be happy or this and that. You should try to be happy all the time, because you and I both know that you set these goals, you reach them, and then you realize that you already have new goals that you want to reach. And you can't always be working that way. It's not healthy. You want to be happy all the time in the present, be happy with the journey in a sense, which we'll talk about later in another episode. But try to bring value. Try to equate your successes with how much value that you're bringing to a certain situation. And I think that will help you get to your success a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and a little bit more effectively, while supporting all the people around you and bringing value to their lives. So I hope that you enjoyed this talk, and thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon. See you later. First time down the slide. Oh my goodness. This is scary. This slide's too small for me.